my name is Randi Lee. Welcome to the Yoga Breakdown. I'm going to perform this little mini series, different videos, different clips showing you how to workshop into certain postures. So instead of going into a yoga class where the teacher says, okay, crow pose, and everyone around you is doing crow pose, but the instructor may not teach you the exact postures to get into it, that's what this is going to be all about. So why don't we start with crow pose? Crow pose is more of a core stability and balance alignment posture. It's not necessarily about powering through it. There's a difference between just powering through it, using your muscles, squeezing yourself, holding yourself there, and the difference between that and the actual posture itself can be something more of an alignment issue or an alignment cue. So one thing that I would like for you to keep in mind is that usually you could use blocks or straps or different kind of yoga props to get you into certain postures. We're not going to be using those today or for this segment. So if you have a block or if you have a book that you want to use, you can go ahead and use that as well when I suggest you can put a block under your head or under your feet. So let's begin. Crow pose is one of those postures that you require some wrist flexibility. So we'll start on the ground, hands and knees. So just come into all fours, shoulders over the wrists, knees under the hips, and take a few cat-cows here just to warm up. One of the biggest things that a lot of people may not understand when they get into a posture is there's certain warm-ups that you can use to get into the posture more easily, engagement of different muscles, and also flexing or flexibility of different muscles. So one of the things about arm balance is, because that's what crow is it has to do with wrist flexibility. So I'd like for you to see if you can rotate your hands around. So I'm not sure how it would be best to show this, but maybe from an aerial shot. If you look past my head for a moment, rotate your hand out to the side 180 degrees, and then the other one as well. So you'll see that my wrists, if you look from a side view here now, you'll see that my wrists are actually bending beyond a 90-degree angle. So here's a 90-degree angle, shoulders over the wrists. Maybe this is enough for you. If you'd like to start working into your wrist flexibility, start to sit the hips back slightly and feel your wrist stretching. So if you feel this, any kind of painful sensation as opposed to just stretching, and you'll know the difference when it happens or if it happens, then just soften out of it a little bit. Don't go so deep. So take a few rocks back and forth, stretching out the wrist. Try not to lock your elbows, a gentle bend in the elbows, and keep warming up your wrists. And then when you're done, release the hands forward facing again, then sit back on the heels, roll out your wrists. Another way to get that stretch is to bring one palm to the sky and then pull the fingers down. So it's a little bit more of a passive stretch as opposed to it being more intense, and then switch sides. So when you do this here, I feel like I can feel the stretch more up my arm as opposed to on the mat, but everyone's body is different. So we're coming back to the mat now, and curl the toes under. We're going to work on some core strength. So if you take a side view, you'll lift your knees off of the floor and then watch my spine, round through cat spine. My gaze comes back between the knees and feet, rounding through the spine, pressing my hands harder. Watch my shoulder blades shrug, engaging low belly, squeeze, 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 and then lower back down. Maybe you take a cow pose as a counter stretch. So we'll do this again. Curl the toes under, lift the knees away from the floor, round through cat spine, draw the chin to the chest, round, 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 squeeze, 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 tuck the tailbone, and then come back down. Counter stretch. We're going to try this again, increasing the intensity of it. Tops of the feet are going to stay to the floor. You're going to press into the tops of the feet, and then you're going to lift the knees. Maybe this is enough for you. Or maybe you round through cat spine again, rounding, 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 tuck, tuck, tuck. And then soften back down, cow pose. Option to stay here in all fours, or Extended child's pose, release the low back. So you can stay there for a couple breaths. I'm going to talk a little bit more. One of the things about crow pose is the fear of balancing on your hands, or the fear of your head going below your hips, the fear of falling. So if you are afraid of that in crow pose or any arm balances, put a pillow in front of you if that makes you feel more comfortable. Also, this is where you could use a block. So actually, do I have books handy? So today, I'm using 2 books. I'm going to place them to the front of the mat, and we'll use them in a moment. So let's stand up. Inhale your arms up overhead, get a nice full breath. As you exhale, sit back to chair pose. We're slowly descending towards the books. Prayer the palms, and then start to fold forward. So the idea of folding forward might be a little bit intense for you as well, but be aware that your hands can come to the floor, and they will. So from here, you're going to walk your feet a couple inches further back than perhaps they were. Bend your knees, and then nestle your knees into your upper arms or towards the armpits. So here's your opportunity to shift the books if you need to. So bending knees, nestle the knees into the armpits, and my elbows bend. So if you notice here, the back of my arm and my shin are aligned. That is your tabletop. So that's what we use to balance here in this crow. So you start to shift forward. I'm not going to put my head completely to the books because they're a little bit low, but this is where you would put your head down. So you're going to stay here and rock forward, put a little bit more weight into your hands, and then maybe your feet start to feel like they're going to float, but first, round through cat spine. So a lot of people like to just let their belly kind of soften onto the thighs, and that's okay. You can do that too. But if you want to get a real stable balance here, round through cat spine. So I'm just going to take a break because that gets a little bit exhausting. And if you're doing it along with me, you'll understand exactly what I mean. So we're going to just kind of shake your head out a little bit, take a break, roll out the wrists, roll out the shoulders, and start again. Plant the hands, lift the hips, bend the knees, lift the heels, nestle the knees into the armpits. Here's your shin to the back of the arm. There's your stability. Round through cat spine. Start to shift forward. Here's where you play with lifting one foot, placing it down. Keep rounding through cat spine, lifting the other foot, placing it down. Grip the fingers nice and firm into the mat, and maybe you shift forward, lifting one foot and then the other. And then you come down. A lot of people like to stay in Malasana, which is yogic squat. So if you get me from a forward angle here, prayer the palms, allow the knees to relax open, shifting side to side. And then we plant the hands, lift the hips, toe heel the feet in, and then stand up. So that's the breakdown for crow pose. I hope you enjoyed and learned a little something about it. And come back next time. Thank you.